day 31. Okay, so I've been going at it for a little bit. What I've done so far is I've taken a screw and I put it on each side of the rib at the very top of the new stuff. All the way down, there's one screw next to each rib. I got this trim piece on here. It came in 2 inches from the end, and then every 2 feet I put another one, and then I did the same thing on the edge over here. Screw right there, there. So now I'm gonna start putting my flashing on. So this is gonna be a trouble spot. So basically, I can do it to where I have a seam like that, or I have a seam like that. But I think this is a better option. I think I'd rather have the seam going down. I think it might hold better going that way. And I'm gonna have to do some magic right there. I'm gonna just use the same stuff that I'm gonna use when I do the seams up here. Okay, so what I'm doing here is I'm laying down, first off I'm laying down my outside enclosure, and then I'm putting the 6-inch piece down on the roof, 4-inch piece going up. I've had to cut just a hair of it off. And then I've got this piece at 4 inches from the top, from there. And then what I'm doing is I'm screwing this 2 inches up from the bottom. So I'm screwing it into the to the piece there. Anyway, and I'm doing it on each one on the rib is where I'm screwing it down, and I'm using inch-long screws. So those should go all the way through the metal and do probably about the same thing as the 3/4 inch screws, where they're going to go into the wood but not come out through the other side. Also, my overlap, I'm taking each piece, as you can see, like here, taking each piece, and it's going to overlap over one whole entire rib. It's about like 9 inches, so that's how much of a lap I'm going to have. Okay, on these trim pieces I got double-sided tape that I ran along the edge here, and that edge will be on the top of the roof. This is the stuff right there. I got my trim piece on. The trim pieces come in 10-foot lengths. Anyway, this is a 12-foot span, so I have to splice it. Everything worked out fine other than this. When you put the double-sided tape on, that first piece goes on great, but then you get the second piece here and it creates a little bit of a gap here. But once you put that tape on and set it down, there's no picking it up. So I guess maybe what I should have done is put the tape up to this point and then left this part alone. But it does start to grab once you go a little further back. Anyway, bottom line is, it would probably be okay if I just left it the way it is, because anything that gets underneath this is gonna probably go over here and then hit a rib and then come back down and go into the gutter. But once I break out the caulking, I'm just gonna run a bead of caulking all along the edge of that trim, so there's just no question about anything. Trim piece is on, and then the first piece of flashing is on all the way across. Now to put the second piece of flashing on to go up underneath the roof. So what I'm going to have to do is go up underneath there, and then the piece that's here, I'm going to have to lap it around so that when the piece coming down this way will go on top of. I got to basically copy what I did here. I'm going to have to put some joint sealant stuff over this, and it's 4 inches. So what I did was 4 inches, you know, probably do something like that. So what I did was I measured from the seam over 4 inches and up 1 inch, put a screw. Everything is up 1 inch with a screw. So that is the pattern. 4 inches from the seam, 4 inches from the seam, 2 foot on center, split the difference for the middle there, split the difference for the middle there. And when I lapped my piece here, what I did was I gave an 8-inch lap. So this first piece actually comes over to about here, which is 8 inches. So we got a good lap there. All right, I gotta call it a day, but I got all the way to there, like right about where the fireplace is. So about halfway, maybe a little more, pretty close. Day 32, September 4th. It's Labor Day or something like that for most people. For me, it's just another day to work on the roof. Okay, so I'm on the last piece. Anyway, what I did here is I just cut it right down the middle, right on the seam. Cut it down 6 inches. Okay, so for now, you get the this piece on the bottom and fold it under, piece on the top and fold it down. Just gonna let that sit for the time being, and I'm gonna do my screws up to about here and leave myself about 4 foot of play so I can still move this around, and we'll come back to it. Okie dokie, so I got all the L flashing on. I left the end there loose so I can still work on the sides, but otherwise it's screwed down all the way across. So now I'm going to jump to the other side and do some more flashing. Okay, it's the same song and dance. I'm back in the front, and I got the pieces of wood that are down below this 2x4 that are going to be exposed. I got them covered with metal, and now I'm going to put on the trim pieces. Then I'll work my way up on the flashing up there. Got smart to it this time. What I did was I only ran my my double-sided tape from here back, so I didn't go over the seam and make it stick up. But regardless, it's still not a perfect fit. So anyway, I'll still be running a bead of caulking on this regardless, just to be safe. Got all my trim on down there. Got my trim on right here. This one probably came out the worst as far as the top goes. However, on the side down here where you're gonna see things, it came out tits. It's great, so no worries there. Putting down these outside enclosures. I'm putting them basically on center 4 feet. Putting them on center basically, you know, 4 inches from the top there. The reason that I did what I did was I don't know how long that stuff's gonna last, and I don't know what kind of sun exposure it's going to take. So I put it basically 2 inches underneath there just so that I could try and keep it out of the sun and give it a little bit of a try and increase its lifespan, if that's even possible. But anyway, I don't know what's right, I don't know what's wrong. That's the decision that I made. That's what I'm doing. Okay, so I got all the screws into the ribs all the way down, and it took every single screw that I had. So it's nice when it comes out like that. It makes you feel like you're doing something right. So now I am going to use the same pattern that I did on the top and the back, but this time I'm going to do it on the sides here and just use the same holes if I can. Why not? Anyway, I'm out of inch screws at this point, so I think I will use 1.5 inch screws and button this part of things up. Okay, so same pattern, that's working good. The paneling on the original roof is at 4 feet, so 2 feet in the center. This one here is 4 inches from the seam, and then split the difference 9.5 inches to there, and then it's like about almost the same, 9 to 10 inches there, pretty close. Anyway, I am not drilling pilot holes up here because this stuff is like thin as can be, and all I'm doing is just mangling shit up if I try and do anything like that. So I'm just putting a screw and just sticking it right in there. Okie dokie, that's all screwed in.